Hello and welcome to Birth Thoughts 101, and today I'm going to give you my review on a beautiful classic, probably forgotten or unknown game called Odin Sphere Life-Thrizer, or Odin Sphere for short. Now this was originally released in 2007 but has seen a remastered version in glorious HD and improved somewhat and been re-released for the PlayStation 4. I'd never heard of this game before, so it certainly slipped through my radar, but I'm definitely glad that I picked it up and played this version, and it's been a great side-scrolling adventure. And it certainly took a huge chunk of my time, taking up the majority of both July, August and the beginning of September to complete. So I've been dreading doing this review as I knew it would be huge, seeing as there's so much to talk about, but I'll try to sum it up in a nice little 50-minute-ish video. Now, as I said, it did take me quite a while to complete. We're talking a little over 54 hours. That's a huge in and of itself. That doesn't leave me much time for Overwatch, let me tell you. But anything that takes my attention away from Overwatch has got to be a good game. There are a few things I want to mention. They are visuals, story, characters, music, enemies, and the overall mechanics, and the pros and cons of this lovely little gem of a game. Odin's Sphere centres around 5 stories that interlock one another to come to one big crunchy conclusion and span over a large time within the world of Erion. Within this world exists the mighty Phozons, the life force of every living creature, and the means to levelling up your powerful weapons, the Ciphers, unmatched powerful jewels forged from the underworld that consume Phozons to become stronger. And the wielders of these mighty jewels are our protagonists. We follow the lives of 5 unique and interesting individuals who all have their own goals and personalities, some good, some bad, but it's through showing these characters' own perspectives that we can relate and understand them. Although at first it may be confusing and jump from past to future, it all fleshes out and makes sense in the end if you've been paying attention. So the story in a nutshell involves many warring kingdoms and a prophecy that speaks of Armageddon and the 5 catastrophes that will take place and culminate in the end of the world. So there's a lot at stake, and as time goes on you feel the dread as it approaches, and each of our characters has a significant role to play in the end of the world. So we'll start things off. Our first character is Gwendolyn, the warrior Valkyrie and the youngest daughter to the demon lord Odin. She was born to battle and flies through the sky with a crystal-headed cipher spear. She's the first character that you play. Next up is Cornelius, the character that I personally enjoyed playing with the most. He is a prince who has been cursed into a puka and must find out who, why and how to return to normal so that he can be with his true love. He brandishes the crystal-bladed cipher. Mercedes next, the furry princess. After her mother is died in battle, the Queen of Furries, she must take the throne and learn how to become a leader to her people while stopping a rebellion. She wields the crystal crossbow cipher. Oswald, the Shadow Knight, led down the wrong path. He has slaughtered many innocents, all in the name of his master. But when he learns the truth, he must make his own path of redemption and acceptance. He holds the dangerous, soul-sucking, crystal-tipped cipher sword. And last but not least is Velvet. She and her brother are the last survivors of the kingdom's destruction. Seeking answers, she must piece together the prophecies and try to prevent the Armageddon, and her weapon of choice is her crystal chains. Each character adds weight to the story with their own worlds and friends, each with its own theme, whether it be love, revenge, duty, redemption or honour, and once each chapter is done, the stage is set for Armageddon. You must choose wisely who must face off against who, because it will either lead to a good ending or a very bad ending. The music is certainly one of the biggest jewels in this game to take away. It's wonderful to listen to and varies enough that you don't get bored of it. Very pleasant background noises as well from when you're making your way from to A to B, like animals or weather, and the music uses orchestras and matches the mood of the moment from sadness to an exciting battle. The skill tree levelling is easy and exciting to choose between a wide choice of abilities, each character with his or her own methods of attack and defence, with passive and offensive skills to be added as well. On the battlefield, it's a simple hack and slash mixed with magic attacks, cipher abilities and portions on top of the screen will be covered in mayhem, but in a good way. Now, one of my favourite aspects in a game is the enemies themselves, and the enemies vary from palace guards to furry archers, yetis and even dragons and the undead army, to mention a few. And although it is a bit of a grind, there's certainly enough variety to not want to turn off and do something else. And it's not been treated lazily either, with just palette swaps here and there. You get proper characters for proper areas. And with the enemies come larger than life bosses to encounter, with the Queen of the Underworld to the Lava Lord mentioned in the prophecies. It's a lot of fun, and each one gets the deserved attention. And another thing I love is how they don't just focus on these main characters. There are a lot of side characters as well that hold weight in this game, and they get their turn in the spotlight as well. And no one's forgotten or left behind, which is good because they help build and mould the world around them. So they're just as important as the main ones, and they certainly do get the proper dues by the end of it. I thoroughly enjoyed this game, from the stunning visuals and enjoyable combat. It's side-scrolling maze-like game that focuses on alchemy and collecting loads of items to improve your equipment. Each teaches you as you go, and by the end of the first chapter, the second one starts and you already have a good handle on what's going on, so the pacing's quite good. The only gripe that I have is after you've visited each kingdom or area, there's about 9 or 10 in total in the overall hub map. You must do it again with each other character, and although the maps change a bit and you visit them at different times, you're still visiting the same places over and over again, so by the time you get to the last chapter you're pretty bored of the same enemies and the same bosses. But that's not to say it cripples the game. There's still plenty of bosses and enemies and areas to visit, each slightly altered for every character, to go around and fighting them with new characters is refreshing, but for me it was the story progression, new abilities and the collector in me that kept the game going. And in the end, it was well worth the payoff, definitely worth the money. I picked this up for about £45. I love making new foods from the recipes that I found and combining all my little items to create more powerful potions and more new ones. And although a little bit overwhelming at first, I love diving in and figuring out what potion was best suited for what situation, or which character was best suited for which enemy. For me, the combo killer was the killer cloud and the whirlwind. You put them together and it's just devastation. It delivered massive damage. So if you pair it up and you think about what you're doing before you go into a battle, you're not going to do too bad. It's just trial and error basically, and the sense of satisfaction when you clear a trial room or an enemy or a heavy boss type area, it's very, very satisfying. As I've said, it's a gorgeous to play through for beautiful backgrounds. Each locale is vastly different from its counterparts. It's a feast for your eyes and you shouldn't get bored, even after visiting the same place for the 5th time. It reminds me of an old game called Muramasa or King's Crown. Those are excellent games, and when you complete the game you're rewarded with a stunning art book of all the characters and the enemies and the locations. It's a real treat for completing the game, and more people should do things like that. When you complete a game that's obviously had a lot of effort poured into it, just for all the minute things, to backgrounds, to just characters and the dialogue, it needs to be up front and centre and deserves your attention, because this game is brilliant and there's plenty of trophies to collect if you're a major completionist. So that brings us down to my verdict. By and large, the pros far outweigh the cons, and the only thing I could really say to improve Odin's Sphere are more locations to spread out the repetitiveness, and maybe a few more enemies and bosses, but that would just be nitpicking really. So from the world that's been built for us to enjoy, and within the characters as well that we've gotten to know and care about, well, me personally, and enjoy playing, the stories that engage me, the fun and crazy gameplay and the difficulty challenge it offers, I really did enjoy Odin's Sphere. I can't stress enough, and I definitely recommend it to anyone. Even Beth has started playing it, and it's not even the type of game that she plays. It's managed to grab her as well, which is good, and considering it came out the blue, was an even bigger, more welcome surprise. I have 4 games coming out this month that I'm really looking forward to playing and reviewing. I'll be doing that soon, so I'm glad I got to finally buckle down and do this review and have it out. Even if just one person out there picks it up because of this review, it'll be worth it. You'll definitely love it. I don't have a rating system, but if I did, I would give it 4 kittens out of 5. Look at them, they're so pretty. Oh, you goodies. Anyway, it was well worth the money for me, Sunshine. I do hope you pick it up, and I hope you've liked this video. So please like and subscribe, and for all things random gaming, keep in touch, baby.